Hello and welcome to The Hero's Spouse. I'm Kenda Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have Louise. Louise is a left behind and forward moving spouse with a bomb drop of February 5th, 2022. She has a date of marriage of 2005. Her husband is a clinging boomerang and a high energy replayer. She says replay started in 2021. The MLC started with the normal triggers, partying, and he also has childhood trauma. In December of 2021, he began a friendship with a 23-year-old colleague. Bomb drop was February of 2022. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. In April, his 50th birthday, I found inappropriate messages from his friend. He left home 2 weeks later. We were never told where he was living. His relationship with the alienator continued, but he lied about it for 10 months, and they now live together. Now he wants me to contact him with phone calls and text messages. I feel it's a boundary I won't cross while he's in his affair. However, I want to build the foundation of friendship. I have 3 children, 17, 19, and 21, who have a strained relationship with him. He said he'd let go of everything to have his children back. He likes to remind me that he doesn't love me the way a husband should love his wife. Is he trying to convince himself that he has made the right choice? Going with the question, is he trying to convince himself? I don't think that's what's really going on. I think what's going on is a midlife crisis. The real crux of your question here is, what about boundaries and building a friendship? And you've gotten yourself into it. One of the things I think is really important, but at the same time, it's important if you can handle it. In the beginning, and however, whenever you feel it's appropriate as well, but we can get caught up in this. It is really important that we rebuild the foundation of our friendship. We're not rebuilding our marriage, but we're rebuilding the foundation of us. Rebuilding the foundation so that they have something to return to or have something to think fondly on. Now, how do we do that? What do we do about that? That is a friendship. And so what do we do? And how do we set boundaries with it? Sometimes you do that in the beginning because that's when you have the opportunity. Maybe the relationship with an alienator hasn't gotten physical yet. Maybe there isn't an alienator yet. Maybe the relationship with the alienator is still at a point because they're still home and it's not discovered that you could do it. Whatever. All of these things. Because MLC gets worse and they will become more distant from you. The opportunities are greatest in the beginning. Which is why we target it at the beginning, but also because if you don't do it for 5 years, you might not, they're gone now, right? So there is something to be said for what you want. You want to build the foundation of a friendship. Yeah, I want you to do that too. Now, the question comes to, how do you do that while also having boundaries? This is where we get to our challenges because it is a tightrope. You will fall off sometimes. The doormat is down below and you get back up. Okay, you're just going to get back up. So he has asked you to text him. He wants you to contact him with phone calls and text messages. First thing, test it. You feel that that's a boundary. And he is now living with her. Well, first thing, you can try this. You can say, well, you know what? You want me to do that. What are you going to give? Where's the reciprocity? But there isn't really much reciprocity with them. Sometimes they'll surprise you, but there's not. And he thinks that, he reminds me, he thinks he'd do anything to have his children back, but he wouldn't. And this does not mean it's a refusal. It is not refusing to do anything. It is not refusing to fight for them. It's the difference between can and will, or can't and won't. He wants to have the will. He doesn't have the will. He doesn't have the capacity. So he wants to do that. In his mind, the little trapped prisoner that's up inside the MLCer's brain is watching, going, I'm trying to get control of this guy. I'm trying to get control of this crazy guy who is running my body. But the crazy guy is stronger right now. And so it's not that he doesn't want to, but he doesn't have the will. He doesn't have the capacity. So where should your boundary be? First thing, I want you to determine what some of the boundaries are, things that may come up, and I want you to set them for him. In other words, some things that you think may come up or have come up already, communicate the boundaries. Not all boundaries are communicated. There are boundaries that we have socially. I probably wouldn't walk up to you and get this close to your face, because we have social boundaries and each culture has different distances, right? That's a boundary. But we don't communicate it. But there are rule boundaries, such as if you were to go no contact. I'm not advising that, but that's as an example. No contact, there's not having contact and no contact. The results might be the same. Every day there's no contact between you, but no contact. Capitals, when I talk about this as a boundary, and capital C. You would communicate, I do not want you to contact me. And in the beginning, I often advise that this is done when somebody is spinning and cycling so much due to the mixed messages or inability to attach, the toxicity, whatever, that you do it for a limited time. So you give a from now until, and you say 3 to 6 weeks, but you don't tell them 3 to 6 weeks. I'm telling you, make a determination that is between that. You say, you can contact me again at this date or this time. The next thing, MSCers don't follow that. It's up to you to not answer when they call. That sort of thing. So you are maintaining that boundary, even though they're trying to break in. And if they do call, you will check the messages, because one of the messages might say, I am in the hospital. I've had a heart attack. That's a good reason to break a boundary, that sort of thing. So you let them know, I don't want you to contact me. If you do, if there's an emergency, that's an exception. But I won't answer the phone, so you leave a message. I will check them. Okay? But that's not the boundary you're looking at right now. So I want you to think about what has he done that is cake eating, that you feel has gone too far. Because at the point you're at, you're just a little bit past a year. There's cake eating, and it could be high. But I will tell you, cake eating, the height of cake eating is what I saw at year 3. When he told me, you're not going anywhere. So I could just leave her in the morning and come home to you and then leave you at night. Or the reverse. I don't know who we left in the morning and who we went back to at night. That was cake eating. He verbalized it to me. He felt so secure that I wasn't going anywhere, that he could do it. And I laughed. There was personal, like, did you just say that out loud? But no. I wasn't going to accept that. But also, that's when I knew, okay, now I've let him eat cake. Remember, I wanted to build a foundation of us. And that was mostly in the first months, especially working hard before he left the house, before he moved out. I had built that foundation of us. What that told me was that I've built the foundation of us. I have built the reassurance. I had a clinging boomerang also. And one of the important things is reassurance. He was reassured that I would always be there. That was great, except that now he was going to abuse the reassurance. Somebody had to stop this cycle. And the cycle that I'm talking about in our situation was every few months he wanted to come home, or he wanted to leave and come home and leave and come home. And we had to stop. It wasn't, we weren't getting past that, because there was this, he would move in with her and he'd move home directly from her house. Who is going to stop the cycle? There had to be a break in that cycle. So in our situation, there had to be a break between her house and our house. I don't know what yours is, the axis yours goes around. That was ours. And what kind of boundary that means for you. You need to figure out the boundary. One of the boundaries, yes, was while you are in a relationship with her, while she is in your life, you may not contact me while you are being an inappropriate spouse. And that means her. You may contact me when she is no longer in your life, and you are also not having the circle of influence that was with her in your life. So there are people that were innocent, but he still had to stay away from them. Her family. My understanding of her dad was a very nice gentleman who wasn't in control of his daughter. And why should he be? She was in her 40s. But he wasn't promoting the relationship and trying to help her steal my husband. And had he probably known more about what was really going on, I had the feeling he was a very decent man of faith, from my understanding, and would have probably been very disapproving. So it was, but Chuck still couldn't have contact with him, simply because imagine that it's kind of like going into a bar. I'm an alcoholic. Can I go into a liquor store or a bar, but not take a drink? He was too close to her. So the boundary was, when they're out of your life, you may contact me. That was it's an exit clause boundary. You can set that. I will tell you that just a year into his crisis was too early for me to set that kind of boundary. Way too early. So keep that in mind. Right now, I had to figure a balance of, I'm being the other woman now. I'm sneaking around with him. Okay, I got to pull back. There were times where I crossed it because I felt it was important enough that I needed to keep getting my message out, keep showing empathy for him, compassion for him. And by having contact with him was how I did that. And then there were always reminders to him, or me pulling back and saying, you know what, this isn't appropriate. We can't keep doing this. And you're with somebody else. There were times where I said, I think you're using me as a crutch. Then there were excuses I used as, oh, he needs me. He didn't. So I broke my boundaries too soon. Strong boundaries are great. I want you to keep a window of communication open. It can be small. You have to determine how small in your situation. Mine was probably a floodgate. It was probably way too big. And yet it did work in the end. But keep a window, and within that window, I want you to put reassurances. I'm doing this because I don't think that we should be divorced. If divorce was referenced, if it's not, I'm doing this because I want our marriage to work. And so I am choosing to not have a relationship with you while you're not being appropriate, while you're with somebody else. Not because I want to put respect into that relationship and respect a relationship and not interfere in it, but because it's not appropriate. And there's a boundary of, I am the wife. I am your wife. And while you're with her, you're being disrespectful to both she and me. And I don't want to be a part of it. But at the same time, I'm telling you this to reassure you. That friendship thing you want, that texting thing you want, those phone calls, I want that too. I just can't give it because I don't want to continue to enable your relationship. But I'm going to tell you what I am. I'm here. I'm still here. If you call me, I'll probably pick up. Okay? And now if you call me too much, I might not pick up every time. You email me, I'm still here. I'm reading them. I can respond. Phone, you want to stop by? Call me. Let me know. If you want to schedule a meeting, you want to get together for coffee, tell me why. We'll talk about it and see. Because I don't want to enable what you're doing. But I do want to make sure that you know what I'm doing. What I'm saying is you don't have to hide your hand. This isn't poker. You can tell them everything I am doing is because I want us to be together again. It's because I feel that we can and should be, and that is possible, and it could even be probable. And I'm working toward that goal. MLCers that are clingy moving need reassurance, but they like to cake eat. Too much reassurance, and they abuse it. Okay, so you're going to have to find a balance, and it's going to be hard. So sorry about that, and let me know if you have any more questions, and I will see everybody in the next question.